Welcome to Rosin Hill Chapel, a spiritual community in Hampstead, North London. We like to call it a spiritual home for open minds. Wherever you have been in mind and body this week, and wherever you may go from here, I'm glad to welcome you to Rosin Hill Chapel online. My name is Shana, and together with spiritual friends, we are pleased to offer this service to you today. As our theme for July on journeys comes to a close, the annual Islamic pilgrimage of Hajj is soon to begin, and today we will explore pilgrimages in different traditions and our own connection to sacred practices. Our wonderful Children's Chapel coordinator, Katie, has created a session that follows the footsteps of Japan's greatest haiku poet. Please do watch the video, which is available on our YouTube channel. We start each service by lighting the chalice flame, a symbol of our Unitarian faith. As I light the chalice, you are invited to light your own candle with me. And as we light our candles together, we will listen to the opening chapter of the Quran, followed by Guardians of the Kaaba.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم
May our flames purify our settings into a sacred space, and may the flames burn warm and bright. Now let us sing Ya Habib with Julia and evoke love into our hearts.
يا حبيب 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 يا صاحب الجمال ويا سيد البشر يا صاحب الجمال ويا سيد البشر من وجهك المنير لقد خلقنا يا صاحب الجمال ويا سيد البشر يا حبيب 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 يا حبيب.
We are a self-funded independent charity and always grateful for any contributions to support our ongoing work. If you would like to make a donation, you can do this by clicking on the donate button on our website www.rosenhillchapel.org.uk or through our Just Giving page justgiving.com/rosenhillchapel. Thank you for your generous donations, your time, and your talents.
A Unitarian Pilgrimage. It's a pleasure to talk to you about a Unitarian pilgrimage in Transylvania. As you may know, we Unitarians don't have an official pilgrimage. The pilgrimage we are talking about grew from the habit of the commemoration of Ferenc David, the founder and the first bishop of the Hungarian Unitarian Church. First, I will talk to you about the history and background, then about the pilgrimage, and finally I will share with you one of my kind experiences too. In 1910, on the 400th anniversary of Ferenc David's birth, a memorial monument was placed in the Deva Castle, his death place. On 8th of August 1948, a memorial plaque was placed on the monument for the third time as the previous ones were damaged. The inscription says, "The founder and first bishop of the Unitarian Church was martyred in the prison of this castle." From 1998 onwards, on the anniversary of his death, the Ferenc David Youth Association organizes a commemoration in Deva Castle every year. In the early years of the 21st century, the minister from Deva found the original broken plaque from 1910 in the yard of the local museum. On every second Saturday of November, Unitarian parish members make a pilgrimage by car, train, bus, or those who come from abroad by plane to Deva. We all meet at the foot of the mountain, and after a prayer, a welcome hug, and smiles, we go up in pairs, talking or in our common religious silence. It's almost always cold, windy weather, and I think this fact always recalls us. We turn into ourselves, and if we are honest, we can hear too. Why will you freeze to death? Why will you stand out to the end? We take deep breaths, and in addition to the joy of meeting, there is a mournful, memorable atmosphere everywhere. That is what we really need, to remember our roots, our foundation, and our starting sun. This pilgrimage is organized by the Council of the Unitarian Church and the National Ferenc David Youth Association. They decide who will be the speakers. We pray together and listen to our speakers' words humbly. The János Zsigmond Unitarian College and the Berde Mózes Unitarian High School choirs sing religious songs. The National Ferenc Dávid Youth Association makes the occasion memorable with creative, youthful elements. At the same time, the Unitarian Theological Students' poetic, musical and playful scene is also part of the commemoration. I would also like to mention that on the 450th anniversary in 2018, an equestrian pilgrimage and a motor pilgrimage was organized by Unitarian parishes too. I attended the Unitarian Pilgrimage to Deva Castle as a little girl and as a Unitarian theological student too. I have a fond memory from my first year in the seminary when I played Katalin, Ferenc Dávid's wife. My eyes filled with tears from the cold, my voice trembled firmly from reciting the text, and I felt it hurt, now and then too. We have to know that we are the future that you dreamed there in the Deva Castle on a cold, windy night between the walls of a prison. All those interested are welcome to make this pilgrimage.
Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to share something with you which I discovered during Ramadan. I was asking the question, what constitutes a necessary journey and what is a good reason to travel? The usual perception that I saw is that travelling for work is the normal and the kind of accepted thing to do, but when you start travelling for work, then you're sort of always travelling for work. So I asked God, what is the best reason to travel? And the answer that came to me through hadith was actually pilgrimage is the best reason to travel, and even the only good reason, in that there should be some kind of spiritual reason for your journey. There might be other reasons also, and that you should recognise, if you're travelling for work or for holiday or for marriage or to visit relatives, those are all good reasons, but the best reason is pilgrimage. But what does that mean? What constitutes pilgrimage then? And are there different kinds of pilgrimage? Obviously every religion has its own version of pilgrimage to different places, in different ways, different lengths of time, different distances, for various reasons. For example, in Sufism there are pilgrimages to visit the tombs of saints who have passed into the spiritual world. And then I realised that actually this year my journeys, the journeys that I have undertaken, have been kind of pilgrimages. It started in January with a trip to Oman to visit the grave of the late Sultan Qaboos, who passed away on the 10th, who's by far the greatest leader in the Islamic world of our time. In March, when I was planning to travel there again, via Turkey, this time it was 2 flights, and I got stranded in Istanbul because the borders closed while I was in mid-flight. And my plan was actually, it wasn't really a pilgrimage, it was maybe some kind of pilgrimage. My plan was to watch the sunrise of the vernal equinox from Ras al-Had, which is the easternmost point of the Arabic-speaking world. And I decided actually to visit friends in Antalya while I was stranded in Turkey. So I went to the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, and then I got a flight down to Antalya. And even though they're not very religious, we ended up travelling across the Taurus Mountains to Konya to visit Rumi and Shams. And even though Rumi's mosque and museum was closed at the time because of the virus, Shams's was open, and that was really the important place for me and where I had the spiritual experience. So it kind of made sense of the journey instead of being a failed journey to a place, a destination that I didn't manage to reach, it suddenly all made sense. And so I was quite happy to go into quarantine and lockdown after that, because I'd had this incredible experience. And then I actually saw the sunrise of the vernal equinox in Antalya, which is a perfectly nice place to see it, from by the sea, just beside a natural waterfall that goes into the sea. And during the afternoon, it catches the sun and creates rainbows. In the morning, it was no less spectacular. The spray from the waterfall created these incredible pictures in the first rays of the sun. Other pilgrimages I've done have been walking from Thessaloniki to Istanbul 3 years ago, and it wasn't. It was part of a much bigger, longer walk from London to Jerusalem. And even though Jerusalem is, of course, a pilgrimage destination that has been for thousands of years, it wasn't only a spiritual journey, it wasn't only a religious pilgrimage, it was also political, to mark the centenary of the Balfour Declaration. It was kind of a walk of penance for our share in the responsibility for the crisis situation in Palestine. Entering Jerusalem as well was very special, even though I used to go there every week for Jummah prayers in Al-Aqsa Mosque, and that's where I embraced Islam 11 years ago. And I always feel it's such a blessing to be able to go back when so many people can't. And I never take it for granted, the opportunity I had to visit what is the third holiest site for Muslims and really the holiest place for Christians. Not having done the Hajj or Umrah yet, inshallah I will. And of course, this year it isn't possible to do so. But I've always felt that before I go there, I really need to visit Iraq, which is one of my life's dreams. But I've always waited for the situation to improve and for it to become easier, safer, or just for the right time to be ready. And I feel that I am ready now because of an experience that I had also during Ramadan, where I developed a very strong connection with Ali bin Abi Talib, the nephew and son-in-law of the Prophet, peace be upon him. The actual destination of my pilgrimage is Najaf, to visit Sayyidina Ali alayhi salam. And I feel very strongly that I need to go there before I go to Mecca and Medina, inshallah. There are many different reasons to go to particular places depending on our personal path and what we hold dear. And for example, I've done cultural pilgrimages to Paris or to Berlin, visiting opera houses and art galleries and so on. It's also a kind of pilgrimage. The most memorable one was Dresden, actually, my mother's hometown, or our family's hometown on the mother's side. And visiting the museum there, where there is the great Raphael painting, the Sistine Madonna, and it's vast. I mean, it's absolutely huge, and I could not tear myself away from it. It's at the end of a very long gallery, and I actually walked backwards the length of the gallery because I just couldn't take my eyes off it. And have some kind of spiritual meeting which may not make sense kind of in an earthly kind of day-to-day life context. All of our journeys are perfect in a way, even if there is struggle and chaos and a lack of clarity about why things happen or why we are where we are. Somehow we are always at the right place at the right time.
As I light our small candles, I invite you to reflect on the joys and concerns you may be holding in your heart at this time.
Hello, my name is Jai. I am here to tell you about a pilgrimage that I went on with a group last January, February. I went for 2.5 weeks, and the reason I went was because I assist at an event called Wisdom Wednesday, and we were taking a group of guests that go there. These people are spiritual seekers and explorers, and they were wanted the opportunity to experience India and also explore Bhakti Yoga. The first place that we went to in India when we arrived was Mumbai. In Mumbai, along the coast, there's a place called Chowpatty, and there's a temple there. At this temple, they were having a flower festival. This flower festival is called Pushpa Abhishek. This temple has an altar with Radha Krishna deities, and this was an offering of love for them. So Pushpa means flowers and Abhishek means bath. They literally gave the deities on the altar a bath with these flower petals. So there were priests at the front of the altar, and there would be huge buckets, and they would take armfuls of these flower petals and throw them onto the deities. It was so mesmerizing. I wish everyone could experience it. Earlier during the day, they had volunteers that had picked almost 2 tons of flowers to use in this ceremony, and the priest had explained that this was an offering of love. People were doing it to express their love, to express their gratitude to the divine. Throughout the whole ceremony, there was singing and dancing, chanting of mantras. So all our senses, everywhere we looked, we were engaged in a spiritual experience, totally cut off from the things that pull us on our day-to-day activities, all the distractions, and really just focus on expressing our love for the divine. After this festival, we visited a village in rural Mumbai. It was an eco-village built by this monk that I mentioned earlier, Radhanath Swami, and his monks from the Chowpatty temple. We were there to do yoga, listen to wisdom talks. Spiritual practice in the mornings was very important. We looked at the different projects that were offered by the eco village. They had recycling water facilities, so the whole village was supplied by recycled water done in a really sustainable way. They had local farming, so that all the vegetables that were for the dishes that were prepped at the eco village all came from naturally grown vegetables from villages nearby. They also had a wonderful school there for the local children that normally wouldn't be offered this high level of education, which was wonderful to see. It was wonderful, a project for the women so that they could make things, sew things and sell them, offering their families an income. This project was really about showing compassion, helping people that needed help, and living in harmony with each other and with the planet as well. Again, it was an opportunity to connect with the divine and see everything in connection with the divine. For me, what was really special was to attend the morning program. We woke up very early at 4 a.m. and we practiced meditation, chanting of prayers, for about 4 hours in the morning, which was an incredible opportunity, not something that we can do with our busy lives here in London. And then finally, the last destination was a place called Mayapur in the suburbs of Calcutta. Again, another village in Bengal. This was the birthplace of a very prominent saint in the Bhakti tradition. He was the one that inaugurated kirtan throughout India. So kirtan is the chanting of mantras with instruments, getting people together to chant together. So that was wonderful. Again, just absolutely mesmerizing, connecting our senses to spirituality, something spiritual every day. They had a beautiful altar with huge life-size deities. We visited different places, and these places were places where spiritual things had happened, spiritual, what we call pastimes. We went there to meditate on the activities that had happened hundreds of years ago, and to try and connect with that time, and to try and connect with the people involved with those pastimes. Usually saints that had that were very evolved and highly elevated. Try and connect with them and receive strength in our spiritual lives, receive nourishment. These places, because they are spiritual, they still carry high vibration, and going there and meditating on these places lifts our consciousness and lifts our vibration, opens the heart space, provides spiritual strength. So this pilgrimage overall, I found, when I got back to London, I just had that the strength within myself to carry on in spirituality. Just like we eat to stay nourished, our soul needs to stay nourished as well. And this pilgrimage offered that for me, a time out to time out from my busy life to spend on my spiritual health. I hope you found this interesting. Thank you.
Let us pray together. Spirit of life and love, known by many names, and yet fully known by none. We give thanks for this time and this place of renewal. We give thanks for the ability to begin again after the disaster, after the tragedy, after the loss, after meeting the challenges set before us. Grant us the courage to continue on the journey, the courage to speak up for the well-being of others and ourselves and our planet. May we forgive each other when courage falls short, and may we try again. Grant us hearts to love boldly, to embody our faith and our values in living words and deeds. May our hearts be open to embrace humility, grace, and reconciliation. Grant us the ability to learn and grow, to let the spirit of love and truth work its transformation upon us and within us. Grant us the spirit of hospitality, the willingness to sustain a fit dwelling place for the holy that resides in all beings. Grant us a sense of being at peace in the world, even as we are in motion. Let us cultivate together the strength to welcome every kind of gift and all manner of ways to be on the journey together. And to this we add the silent prayers of our hearts. Blessed be. We've just entered the last month of the Islamic calendar, Dhul Hijjah, and on the 8th day, next week, is when the Hajj pilgrimage begins. This is a once-in-a-lifetime journey for Muslims and one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Of course, Hajj will look very different this year, without the millions of people from all over the world, different races and cultures, all congregating in one place. Those pilgrims who are fortunate enough to take part this year have already started a period of quarantine. During the 6-day event, pilgrims perform rites and rituals following in the footsteps of Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, including circumambulating the Kaaba, Islam's holiest shrine, and walking back and forth between Mount Safa and Mount Marwa. There is a shorter pilgrimage that can be completed at any time of year, with only some of the rituals of the Hajj being observed. Umrah is an opportunity to refresh one's faith and pray for one's needs. In 2007, I completed Umrah. It was a last-minute decision to go with family members, and I wasn't quite ready for the experience. I felt I hadn't prepared myself spiritually and physically. After a long road journey from Riyadh, the capital city, into Mecca, I was feeling quite tired and just wanted to go to bed. When I stepped off the bus, I caught a glimpse of light in the dark of night to the left of me. I turned around and I was awestruck. I could feel the adrenaline rush at the back of my neck. With the view of the grand mosque that houses the Kaaba in front of me, I was lost for words. The biggest outcome for me as a queer Muslim was finding acceptance, and it certainly refreshed my faith. It gave me the recognition I needed, that I can practice my faith and that my relationship with the divine is exactly that. On the third day of the Hajj is when Eid al-Adha occurs, also known as Qurbani Eid, the Eid of Sacrifice. It follows the story of Abraham being asked to sacrifice his son. The word Qurb means closeness or close to the throat. Around this time, I start thinking about what I can personally sacrifice. What could I let go of, even if it might pain me in some way to do so? Ego often comes to mind. We all have an ego, however that manifests itself. We are all unique, and our ego helps us to fulfill our life's purpose. Becoming too attached to ourselves can get in the way of consciousness and lead to suffering. Learning to step away from this is hard. Learning to forgive and letting go is something that I come back to. Expanding the heart so it becomes bigger than the ego may be one way forward. Practicing gratitude and the things that invite love, Ya Habib, engaging in wisdom talks, reading sacred texts and chanting and meditation help me to grow my heart and lessen my ego. What are the ways that you nourish your heart? Just as some say, home is where the heart is, perhaps we can take a pilgrimage within, explore our inner self, refresh what's there, finding our own renewal and examining our own needs, your own personal pilgrimage. I'm aware that it can be uncomfortable going in, an unknown, like a labyrinth. Perhaps we are required to get lost so we can emerge with a renewed sense of self, a chance to remember our own roots. Personal pilgrimages might serve as a way of connecting with ancestors, your environment, reconnecting with who you are as an individual, as well as part of a community. Innu elder Elizabeth Penashew has used her annual walking pilgrimages as peaceful protests for Innu land rights in Canada and protecting the environment against interference. We too could serve other causes, creating change with our personal and spiritual journeys. We've heard from pilgrims on their experiences and the hopes of rebirth of spirit. But what of this journey of each day? In the everyday, look to what causes amazement, what brings a sense of awe, lifting us from our everyday selves. Beauty of the natural world, miracles of creation, spiritual insights. Seeing sunshine through the trees, listening to beautiful music, considering the vastness of the ocean, or the fact that your body produces 25 million new cells each second. Or dancing freely with joy to the song you love. Invite awe-inspiring experiences into your daily life, perhaps setting an intention each day, or maybe once a week. What fills you with a sense of awe? I invite you to share in the comments below, and I'd love to read them later. As we walk our path, remember that nothing is permanent. As we continue with our exploration of life, may we do so walking to peace, walking for change. Life is the greatest gift of all, and remember that you are a shining gift of life. May each day be a pilgrimage, and may our journeys all be blessed. Let us sing our closing hymn. May your hearts be filled with courage, strength, and tenderness, and wherever your heart takes you, may you go in love. May peace be with you, and may we meet again.
Safina